You're looking to build, or
Oh, absolutely. Ultimately,
I would recommend
we will be there. I mean,
you come back.
my
There's
children
that.
have no attachment to any school district in the state, and the two-step children do, so we would obviously go
And you
there.
wouldn't have to come back, like Brian said, if you were a taxpayer, you just roll in.
Can you go where you want?
That's right.
Yeah.
So, I just wanted to bring it to light though, it's like I told Phil, I said it's something that I wouldn't feel comfortable not telling you about, because if something does happen, you know, unfortunately, you would end up quarantining the other children in my household, and they're also around those children's friends and other people, and I mean, it potentially could be, you know, another Sweetwater situation, which I'm well aware of. I have a friend who works for school health in that area, so I just wanted to bring it forward. But yeah, absolutely, I understand if that's your decision.
Yeah, that's what we followed in the past, really.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of stick to it. Of course, we took each case individual every time, so thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Like I say, you come taxpayer, you don't have to come here, just enroll anywhere you want in the county.
Okay,
Thank you, Miss Phil. All right, got it. Any other visitors? All right, seeing none, we'll take this like a 5-minute break and go right into our meeting.
Not kicking the horn. Every time I bring it up, I get choked and when I talk to her sister, in both of them, I can't sweet family.
They're not trying but you know, like
Okay, 1 year at a time, whatever is
it's at least
Everything changes day to day, minute to minute. Oh, really?
Chase on the case, baby. I come, had to go to the birthday party. Little lovely lunch. What do you do? Nephew. I got to talk to him last week. Oh, yeah. You know,
I like it.
Supposedly was the expensive.
Like Kenny tried on.
It's not on this.
All right, we'll go ahead and start our meeting for August 13th. We've already had our prayer and pledge, so we'll move into approval of the agenda. I would like to add Ms. Collins right under recognizing the visitors, right underneath that. If everybody's good with that, we'll vote.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna suggest.
Thank you, sir.
I make a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving on. All right, it's time to recognize any visitors. Anybody wants to address any matter that is on the agenda? All right, seeing none, move on. Ms. Amanda Collins, Ms. Newman.
I'd make a motion that we allow her to enroll her nieces into Loudon County school.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Newman, second by Mr. Riding. Any discussion?
Considering that she's a Loudon County resident and paying taxes, I think that's the thing to do.
Any more discussion? All right, roll call it, Ms. Kelly.
Mr. Newman.
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins.
No, cause I went to school with her. Nah, yeah, well.
Mr. Moffett.
Yes.
Ms. Bridges.
No.
Mr. Ridings.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Eben.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Cusick.
Yes.
All right, moving on to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Newman,
Second.
second by Mr. Jenkins. Any discussion?
I would just like to say thank you to Mr. Lynn for all the things he does for our school system. All our principals can attest to how he supports our kids and appreciate what he does.
You don't miss a game.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Jenkins.
Yes.
Mr. Moffett.
Yes.
Ms. Bridges.
Yes.
Mr. Riding.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Eben.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Cusick.
Yes.
Mr. Newman.
Yes.
All right, passes. Moving on, budget amendments.
I make a motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Newman,
Second.
second by Mr. Jenkins. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Moffett.
Aye.
Ms. Bridges.
Yes.
Mr. Riding.
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Mr. Eben.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mr. Cusick.
Yes.
Mr. Newman.
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins.
Yes.
All right, moving on, adequate facilities tax. Year one, year two.
Motion.
A motion by Mr. Riding,
Second.
second by Mr. Newman.
And please note that I did say something nice about Brian Brown.
You had definitely
No.
got that
In the
in there.
minutes.
No.
Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Ms. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Ridings?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cusick?
Yes.
Mr. Newman?
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Moffett?
Yes.
All right, pass. Moving on to athletic guidelines. Only thing, I think Mr. Cusick had something maybe add to.
The only thing I was thinking about that might protect some of the athletic directors or teachers at the gates, if TWSAA says we need to have masks for everyone, and they don't have one, don't turn them away, but you could have a box of those temporary masks at the gate. You can charge a quarter for extra funding if you need to, just something that way it doesn't cause confrontation, that'll take away from the, students and having a good time, but that's just something to consider, so we don't cause a big ruckus about that. Should not be outside the field, obviously.
You want the board to provide the mask?
For the board or school, yeah.
So I think you might get into something, charging, I might be wrong.
Charge them to get into them.
Yeah, but
Charge them for a t-shirt.
I just think, I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I just,
If they're gonna come to the ballgame, they're gonna bring their own mask anyway. Have a few there in case somebody has forgotten one.
okay.
And I
Because you
bet,
could
I
run
bet
into
the
big
boot, I bet
expense.
the booster club would love to set up right out there at the gate with the mask they're selling as well.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. One of the
I
clubs.
think we need to have some out there because it's, you know, I know we're gonna have a perfect plan, or try to get a perfect plan here, but we're always gonna have that person that does want to cause that issue, that wants to test the waters and show their rear end and hey, we got your own mask, you go see it. You know, those little, just like you go to Food City, they have them sitting up there. And if it beats I really don't wanna put the burden on the schools, but, you know, I'm sure between now and then that there'll be some,
We've got some that the health department gave us that
Yeah.
we could put out there.
All right, do we want, got a motion to pass
Motion.
changes that we had in it from the workshop?
Which,
Can we explain them changes?
Yeah.
You might wanna just.
Yeah.
just
Can we
highlight
go over
them.
those changes?
No, not gonna have any limitations to the, stadium as far as capacity goes. We'll have a concession stand. Bands can play at home games. Should bands travel to other stadiums, of course, that's gonna be if the other school allows it, right? And,
Put that in the principal's hands, and let athletic directors or whoever handle that.
yeah, I mean, if the other school says they can't, then you can't.
I think the board needs to take that burden on. These guys got enough things they're having to
No,
do
that's
with.
what I'm saying,
I'm
we're
just
passing
saying-
this right now,
I'm just saying that as far as,
yeah.
we need to decide tonight if we're gonna let them travel, the band.
No, no, well, yeah, it's in there to travel, but what I'm saying is, you get a school in there that says, hey, we're not allowing you to bring your band to our stadium. And then, of course, you're not gonna take your band,
So you're saying let them travel unless the other school
Yes.
refuses entry to the band?
yes.
I don't
That's
know,
not-
I think that the athletic directors, I think probably sat down with the principals and had a discussion before this was put before us. And it says on there, athletic directors do not want them to travel. I don't know that, but I would guess that Ronnie spoke with Scott, and I don't know who Mr. Castile is, but if they had a discussion prior to,
Well, after
I
hearing
don't
them
know.
talk at the workshop, I thought, am I wrong on that? Guys, help me
Sound
out
more
here,
half and
I
Castile,
just don't want them.
Big Mac. Am I
You're
wrong
not,
on
you're not
that?
gonna make your band travel if they don't want to.
Correct.
So if they're allowed to travel and choose not to, that would be up to them.
Correct.
Okay,
So that's what you want,
That's where we are as well.
okay.
Okay.
okay, that's what I was.
I'm
I'm sorry, I misunderstood that.
If they don't allow us to come, then it's a moot point.
Well, they can travel if they want, if they can. Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay,
If the band director wants them to, and the principal, right?
Absolutely.
I think it covers everything.
So we gonna allow other people's bands to play if they want to?
That's my understanding, that's what, how the workshop, yes, sir, Ms. Castile.
I thought it was we discussed that being a decision made by the athletic director based on
Size of the
capacity
bands.
and the ability to facilitate their band.
That's what I thought.
Alright.
Ronnie had referenced like Walker
So it'll be
Valley.
athletic director, okay,
I'd leave it in the principal's hands.
alright. Put that in the principal's hands? Good with that? Okay, I covered everything. We got a motion on that.
Motion.
Okay, so on the first part, are we gonna put in this motion that we're gonna have masks available at the front gate?
We can just do that, Scott.
Okay, all right,
You don't have to motion that,
And
we can
so-
just do it.
okay, yes, that's fine.
Alright, got a motion by Mr. Riley.
I'm afraid if you motion and vote on it, people just won't bring them, and then we'll run out of masks for the
okay.
kids.
We got that. We got it.
Just provide what we need.
Alright, do we got a second?
Second.
Got a second from Mr. Newman. Did you get that, Ms. Kayla? Everything, alright. Any discussion on this? Good? Alright, roll call, please.
Mr. Riding,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Evans,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Cusick,
Yes.
Mr. Newman,
Yes,
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mr. Moffett,
Yes.
Ms. Bridges.
Yes.
Alright, passes. Got the guideline set up. Thank you guys for helping out with that. Moving on, Dr. Gary Oven retirement.
We have a plaque and a resolution for Dr. Oven. Do you want me to read the resolution, or did you want Kenny to do that?
You read, you're gonna
It'd be good.
read. A lot of whereas and how.
Yeah, whereas Dr. Gary Evan has contributed significantly to the quality of education provided by Loudon County Schools during his 12 years of service on the Board of Education, serving from September 2008 to August 2020. And whereas Dr. Evan has represented 5th District residents with integrity, dedication, and hard work, exemplified in the fact that he earned the Level 4 board member distinction during his years of service. And whereas Dr. Evan has provided guidance and leadership to the Board of Education, serving as Vice Chairman of Loudon County Board of Education, along with budget, salary, policy, early retirement, property, and building committee positions. Whereas Dr. Evan has served for 12 years as Loudon County School Board Representative on the board of the Little Tennessee Valley Educational Cooperative. And whereas Dr. Evan has been involved in the establishment of 2 new schools, renovation and construction of additional classroom space for every school in the Loudon County school system. He contributed to having first place recognition in the 2014 TSBA Middle School of the Year with Fort Loudon Middle School, first place the same year in the high school category for Greenback School, and in 2017, Loudon High School also received first place in the TSBA School of the Year People's Choice Award. Whereas Dr. Evan will retire from the Loudon County Board of Education August 31st, 2020, leaving a legacy of thoughtful, positive action in support of Loudon County Schools and the Tennessee Department of Education. Whereas Dr. Evan has dedicated his tenure as a board member to provide Loudon County students with first-class programs and facilities in a physically responsible manner. And now therefore it be resolved that the Loudon County Board of Education recognizes Dr. Gary Evan and his contribution and service to the students, teachers, and staff of the Loudon County Schools, and that the Loudon County Board of Education members express their collective appreciation and admiration for his leadership and for his dedication to service on the board. On behalf of the Loudon County Board of Education, this 13th day of August, 2020.
Thank you. I'd like to make a couple remarks if I could, if you will pleasure me with that. I attended both of the graduations a couple weeks ago for Greenback and Loudon High School, and it got me starting to kind of reminisce and think back over my years on the board. I started attending board meetings about a year before I actually ran, so it was the summer or fall of 2007 that I first began to pay attention closely to what the Loudon County Board was doing. The class of 2020 that graduated just a couple weeks ago were entering kindergartners when I started attending board meetings. So that year, as before I came on the board, they were kindergartners, and then as they started first grade, I became a board member. So I followed them for the last 13 years, really all the way through school, and so I was able to see one class move all the way through and graduate. Then I got thinking about the things that happened. Some of them are listed in this recognition, and I appreciate that, but a tremendous amount has happened in the last 12, 13 years, if you really think about it. The new schools that we've built, the awards that we have won that were listed here. Then I got thinking about personnel and people. We've had 4 superintendents, Ed Headley starting, as I first started coming to board meetings, to our current superintendent. As I got thinking about the principals in Loudon County, from when I came on the board in 2012, or 2008, every single principalship and assistant principalship has turned over. It's a totally new staff. Same for the central office. All the central office administrators have turned over from what was there in 2008 when it came. Board members, Scotty, you and Bobby, you're the only 2 board members that are still on the board now from the time that I joined the board in 2008. So a tremendous amount of change has taken place, and I think all of it for the better. I think the Loudon County Schools have been an outstanding school district, one I've been very proud to have worked with over these last 12 years, and I think I'll look forward to seeing how you move ahead without me. So thank you very much.
Doc, thank you for your service. I mean, a huge asset. And, I don't know how you do everything you do. I'm impressed.
May I say something?
Yes, sir.
One thing that I think Dr. Oven left out is that around the time he was coming on the board, we were in a real struggle and fight for, to build our new schools. And Dr. Oven became that catalyst. And if you remember, there was a lot of discussion and a lot of things that we wanted to separate our building program. And Dr. Oven was one of the main ones that fought to keep that building program together. And it worked out because we knew that if we separated, that we wouldn't get what we needed and what we wanted. And Dr. Oven, I appreciate the job you've done, and I appreciate that you were that catalyst to kind of get it all going when we were building those schools. Thank you.
One last thing, my replacement, Lisa Harvey, she's gonna do a good job for you.
Thank you, Doc. Director's report.
School is open. We have kids in buildings, we have kids virtually. We've ended up with, I think, 771 virtual students. That should hopefully be pretty stable now that school's started. I don't see any more shifting into the virtual program. We're either in school or we're in the virtual. Our enrollment overall in the district, we're down about 40 students from where we were last year. And we have about 40 more students that decided to homeschool this year than last year. So I think that's where the discrepancy there is. I don't think we've actually lost students moving out. I think some decided to go the homeschool route instead of staying with us. That will impact us next year funding wise, significantly. But I feel like, our teachers, our staff have done a great job. Our principals have done a great job starting off school. Started with the staggered start, trying to work out some kinks. You know, whenever you start a school year, it's always a little rough and things aren't gonna be perfect. But when you start a school year in a pandemic with totally new operational procedures and guidelines that are changing almost every other day from the state, then they have done a tremendous job, and I appreciate what they have done and been able to accomplish. Our virtual students, you know, I want our parents to, again, be patient with us. Our teachers are learning the program as the students and parents are learning the program. We're all starting it together at the same time, so we'll work through the issues and we'll get there. So we're doing our best, and I hope everyone realizes that. If anybody can drive a bus, we need 6 drivers. So
I think Doc's available.
right now, we are fortunate that Knox County decided to delay because I think we've stolen a few of their drivers. But as soon as they start back, we're going to be in a little bit of a pinch. So we do need some bus drivers. Loudon Elementary School, I remember last year and sat here and told you I needed 2 more teachers because they are growing. If we didn't have virtual, I'd be asking for another teacher for Loudon Elementary School right now because they are still growing. They're up another probably 20 kids from last year, and last year they were up about 50 kids. So we're seeing a lot of growth there. As long as we keep the virtual and in-person option, I won't have to add a teacher there. If all those virtual kids decide to come back, then we may have to add a teacher there later in the year. But right now, I think we're okay. Mr. Marvin Feazell was recognized as our East Tennessee Region Principal of the Year and is up for Principal of the Year for the state. And Marvin does an excellent job that's well-deserved, and I wanted him to come so we could publicly recognize the great job that he's doing. So, and last but not least,
Well, I think you want.
do you want to say something?
I just want to say,
He
I
always
just
just-
thrived under Bobby's leadership.
Yeah, I'd take that out if you went
And last but not least, I was notified a couple of days ago that the Commissioner of Education for the state of Tennessee will be in our district tomorrow. She's going to be visiting some classrooms, and I think she's bringing a few folks with her, so I'm excited to have the top boss with us tomorrow. I will wear a tie for the first time this year tomorrow, I guess. I think that's, and I will wear my mask as well. But we appreciate her coming to visit our system and see the good things that we're going on. I know you heard me the last meeting say that they had asked to use our plan when they present to the state board, so I guess she wants to visit and see what's going on for herself as well.
That speaks volumes for you and your people. Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you, sir. Got any other business deemed necessary by the board of directors? If not, anybody want a motion?
Yeah. Move your adjourn.
We're adjourned, Doc. Got a second? Yep. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
None. Thank you, Doc.
Brett's scary.
Is it Jelly and Month Club?